Good afternoon, and welcome to the Chinese American World War II Veterans Congressional Gold Medal Project and recognition effort for our Chinese American veterans. Today, we're so honored to welcome and to celebrate the service of one Chinese American, our U.S. Army Air Force's Donald Wong. It is a pleasure for us and myself as General Chen to be here with you today to talk about the things that Donald Wong had done throughout his entire life. Let me say that for us on this particular day, it's Memorial Day weekend. So it's a time for us to reflect upon all service persons who contribute as well as served and sacrificed their lives for our country. It's a shame that in a sense, 90% of our own Chinese American World War II veterans are no longer with us. And so we also give honor to them as well. For those such as Donald Wong who are still with us, just so blessed to have him here because he is able to at least experience and know that the country believes and understands and honors his work and service. So today, with his family here and friends here, we're here to welcome all of you and to witness this particular ceremony. Today, we also have understood what Speaker Pelosi said on December the 9th, when she made the presentation of the Congressional Gold Medal to Chinese American World War II veterans. For her, the words that she expressed from the nation, from the country, and especially from Congress, who brought this medal to us. Some people say, well, what's the big deal about a Congressional Gold Medal? Let me just say this, the nation's highest civilian honor. I need to repeat that because many people in our communities have never had experience from Congress to say anything good about the Chinese community, except the time when they excluded us from the country, through the Chinese Exclusion Act. So let me just say it this way again. This is a tremendous and significant honor for us today to witness the fact that we're going to be presenting the Congressional Gold Medal to one Donald Wong. So his friends and his family should really revere the fact that Donald stepped up to serve during a time when it is not considered a good thing to do. But for Chinese Americans, stepped up is served with honor and dignity.
Hello. As Speaker of the House, it is a privilege to welcome you all to the celebration of courage and patriotism. We come together today to bestow Congress's highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal, on the valiant Chinese American veterans of World War II. Thank you to the members of Congress whose tireless efforts were instrumental in making this momentous event possible, and to the U.S. military leaders representing each branch of the armed services. And finally, thank you to all of those joining us online to recognize and pay tribute to the Chinese American heroes of World War II. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please stand as you are able for the presentation of the colors and the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave or the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to this republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The patriotic Chinese Americans who served hailed from every state in the Union, served in every branch of the U.S. military, and courageously fought in every theater of the war. And wherever they served, their heroism helped secure victory for the Allies and advance the promise of liberty for people around the world. Today, with fewer than 300 Chinese American veterans of the greatest generation remaining, it is more important than ever that we honor their service and remember their sacrifice. We pay tribute to our Chinese American veterans not only as defenders of democracy, but as an inseparable part of the fabric of our country. In my city of San Francisco, home to a vibrant Chinese American community, we have long celebrated the extraordinary contributions that Chinese Americans have made to enrich our community. On behalf of the United States Congress and all Americans, I'm pleased to present this Congressional Gold Medal to the Chinese American veterans of World War II in recognition of their bravery and service and as an expression of our deepest gratitude and respect.
Well, today I just want to say a couple of words, and I will introduce, first of all, our honoree, Donald Wong. There you are. I see it. Donald, look up at the camera so people, let people see you there. Look at the camera. There you go. Thank you very much for waving at us. And I also want to introduce Major General Bill Chen. Bill Chen is the first Chinese American two-star Army general. Okay. I think it's quite an honor for us to have him here because one of the things I've always said about our country as a whole is, do we have enough Chinese Americans serving in the military? That's number one. But number two, how many are in leadership positions? In other words, have gotten to the level of being generals, one-star or two-star generals. Major General Bill Chen is the first two-star general Chinese American we have. So thank you, Bill, for that. For 32 years of service in the U.S. Army. Bill served in missile and defense acquisitions, and so during his time in the service, he was responsible for the missiles program. So those of you who understand how missiles work in the United States understand that the missile program is an integral part of the defense of our country. One of the things I really do enjoy about Bill, though, is the fact that he has a family legacy of service with the U.S. Army. His brother served in the Army, and his father, Moon Chen, is also a World War II veteran. But I think the thing I like about the fact that Bill has a legacy is that his brother's daughter, his niece, is a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. So those of you who aspire to be in the military know it can be done by men and women. And in this day and age, in this generation, it certainly is possible for all who want to serve our country in that respect. So Bill, thank you very much for being here. And I'll let you have the floor in just a second. I'm going to take another couple of minutes to talk about the project itself. I think there's something that we want to make sure that people understand about this entire project, that Congress gives us nothing. We have to advocate every time. And I think as Chinese Americans, one of the things that we do, that we should be doing, of course, is voting. But beyond that is advocacy for something that we believe in. This project was begun in 1917, and through an introduction of the bill in both houses of Congress, H.R. 2358 and Senate Bill 1050, we were able to introduce the Chinese American World War II Veterans Congressional Gold Medal Act. And in that, both houses of Congress passed this bill with unanimous consent. And let me just say that with a lot of work and effort, and I'm talking about writing letters, making phone calls, visiting your district congresspersons, and visiting them on the Hill, we finally accomplished this over one session of Congress. And if I were to ask somebody how many years are in one session of Congress, well, the answer is 2. So 2 years to do this entire effort is is quite an accomplishment. I'm not only going to pat myself on the back, I want to pat all of the people who had something to do with this on the back, because it is a miraculous achievement. If you consider that there are anywhere from 30 to 50,000 bills introduced into both houses of Congress, and very few make it out of committee, and fewer still make it onto the floor for vote, the fact that we were able to pass both bills in both houses of Congress is quite an effort. So today we recognize that there were about 20,000 Chinese Americans who served out of a population of 100,000 Chinese Americans in both the mainland as well as Hawaii back during that period of war. So to think about 40% of those individuals were not even citizens. So 20% of that 40% are not even citizens of the United States, yet they still chose to serve. So that's something really to think about when you see what we have today. We have an all-volunteer army today, but back in those days, the 40% of the Chinese Americans served were not even citizens. So something to think about if you have a citizen, if you have a veteran in your family or someone or know another person who's Chinese American who served as well. The fact of the matter, we don't have contacted or been able to contact 3,500 of the 20,000. What are the others that you might ask? Well, who knows? Many of them have passed away, as I said before, but there are many others whose families have gone away. They've moved away from where they used to live, so we've never not able to contact them. If you know of any others who are eligible, please, go to our website, caww2.org, and see if they might get registered with documentation. Of course, that's the hardest part, finding documentation for everyone. But I am also surprised that after 75 years, a lot of you have kept the documentation. So let's not say that Chinese are pack rats, but yes, Chinese are pack rats. Okay, we keep everything, we'll never throw anything away. So let's just be honest about that right now. But those of you who are not able to find documentation, there are different ways throughout government resources. Unfortunately, not all of them are open now because of the COVID, but hopefully over the next months and maybe a year, they'll be able to open those archives up again, so you're able to get that documentation. So today, it's just an honor for us to recognize one out of about the 3,500 we found, and Donald Wong has that responsibility. But before we get to that, I want to introduce again Major General Bill Chen, and Bill has a story arc that he'd like to talk to you about. Bill?
I'd like to highlight the significance of the service and sacrifices of our World War II veterans. The primary basis for the award of the Congressional Gold Medal is their service and their fight for the United States in spite of the discriminatory aspects of the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, which was not repealed until December of 1943. Of the 20,000 Chinese Americans that served, about 40% were non-citizens. Yet they served with pride and proudly served as Americans. And so we owe a huge debt to our Chinese American World War II veterans. They defended the freedom that we so much enjoy today. They demonstrated their skills, competencies, and patriotism, loyalty. They opened up opportunities for all Chinese Americans post-World War II to be a part of mainstream America. And through their hard work and sacrifice, they enabled us in the follow-on generations to live the American dream. They also continued the legacy of progress initially established by Chinese railroad workers in building the Transcontinental Railroad. In fact, there are parallels between the experiences of the Chinese railroad workers and Chinese American World War II veterans. Both groups were largely forgotten, ignored, and excluded. Both groups are unsung heroes. But finally, on May 10, 2019, at the 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad, Chinese railroad workers were fully recognized and honored, and this completed the story arc of Chinese railroad workers. Then, on December 9th, 2020, with the Speaker of the House award ceremony for the Congressional Gold Medal for Chinese American World War II veterans, the veterans were finally fully recognized and honored, and this completes the story arc of Chinese American World War II veterans. In my case, my grandfather worked on the Transcontinental Railroad. So I'm a descendant of a Chinese railroad worker. I'm also a descendant of a World War II veteran. And so I'm particularly honored to pay tribute to our Chinese American World War II veterans. So let us forever remember, honor, and preserve the legacy of our Chinese American World War II veterans. At this time, I'd like to present to Sergeant Donald Wong this Congressional Gold Medal. On behalf of the Congress of the United States, I'm honored to present to you this Congressional Gold Medal for your service in the Army Air Force's 317th Troop Carrier Group, Asiatic Pacific Theater. Congratulations.
Thank you. So let's all give him a round of applause, all of us on the online.
Yay. Well done.
Congratulations, Donald. Really have gotten to know your nieces well, having organized this, and they must love you. Let's put it that way. I've always been able to tell the difference when I read either the tribute ads that are presented in our book or some of the comments I hear at some of these ceremonies. You know how much they love their dad or their granddad, grandfather, grandmother when these ceremonies take place. But Donald, you have two nieces that do this for you. You know, this is quite an honor. So it looks good, doesn't it, Donald? And it's pretty heavy. So don't drop it, okay? This is thank you. Yeah. So a little history. If you see behind me, you'll see the obverse and the reverse sides of the medal that Donald's holding in his hand right now, and both sides reflect things that Bill has talked about to some extent. But if you get a chance to read or hold the medal yourself and observe what's on the front and the back of the medal, I would say everything about that medal encompasses everything that Chinese Americans who served did during World War II. So you get a chance, and Donald doesn't mind you holding it. You know, go to his house and take a look at it. Make sure that he shares it with you. You'll get a chance to talk about that. But the main thing I'd like to again extend about what General Bill Chen has said, as well as what Donald has served and his example of service, is the fact that these stories about Donald and other World War II veterans need to be told to your children and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Because without them telling you about what they've done, really, it doesn't really amplify what their contribution to the United States of America is. Every veteran has a story they need to tell to their families. It's hard to tell these stories over the period of time, but I think what I've discovered is when the children ask their father about the story of their World War II experience, they really don't want to talk about it. But grandchildren ask their grandfather about the story, they are talking. So let me tell you, grandchildren, if there's a key to getting your grandfather or grandmother to open up about something, you're the ones that has to ask them about their story. And they'll be happy to tell you, because for them, I think it's a chance to interact with a younger generation, and they love that. And so for Donald and for other veterans, we always encourage them, if you have a chance, and if you're willing and able to do so, please share your story with them, because that is a part of their legacy. It's part of the reason why I think I and General Bill Chen and others have been involved in this project so long, is that we just think that there's stories to be told. And I can tell you that and I think Maria and Leslie will get a copy of that book soon, there are so many wonderful stories about the veterans who served. There's so many tremendously valuable things that we learn about each other, and especially about our own families. Because I know in a couple of instances, let me just share a couple of real quick stories with you. One family, when they're trying to put their write-up about their father together at Christmas, they actually all decided, this is the first time during Christmas we had a bonding moment. Okay, that's kind of interesting to use to have Christmas. You think, okay, everybody's exchanging presents, but they actually had a time to sit around and talk about their dad for the others, their grandfather. And so the lady had written to me, and she said, I want to thank you for making me do this, apply for my father's Congressional Gold Medal, because it forced us to sit down and talk about our dad and granddad. And it kind of made us bond together that we were able to talk about him. And he was there. I mean, he wasn't shy about sharing it, but it allowed him to open up as well. And the other one that's interesting to me is some of the tribute ads in the book. It turns out that in one of the tribute ads, there was a photograph of three men, two in the Army, one in the Navy. And it turns out that they were actually all first cousins. And so when the ad was going up on our website, a lady wrote into me and she said, "Who's the family that has that picture? Because we have that same picture in our family. And we know which one is our dad, but who are the other two?" And so it turns out that the three men were all first cousins, but by the time the second and third cousins came around, they kind of lost touch with each other. And that's not unusual. We know Chinese families move, or elk families move around a lot these today. And so you lose track of families. So what they're going to do, this was last year, they were all going to get together in Washington, D.C. to have a little family reunion. So that's been kind of a wonderful thing about the project that we've discovered, that's, allowed families who've not kept in touch with each other to come back together.